What's up, Tasty Nation? Welcome back to this episode of Options in Action. It's a new series where I'm taking beginner concepts that we talked about years and years ago with the whiteboard series, and I'm bringing them to light in the platform with more of an advanced lens. The first two series episodes, we talked about call options, why if you're buying call options, you can make more on the upside than if you're buying put options to the downside, simply because the stock price is increasing. We talked a little about selling calls against long calls or 100 shares of stock to reduce cost basis. With put options, we talked about why selling puts is a high probability trade if you're trying to acquire shares of stock, how you can manipulate the extrinsic value of short puts that you've sold, whether you're starting in May, going to June or July, kind of rolling it out in time, moving the strike down. There's lots of cool stuff you can do with that. But today, we're talking about intrinsic and extrinsic value. So intrinsic and extrinsic value are both beginner concepts. They're very important to understand, especially because intrinsic and extrinsic value is really just how your option is priced and really the dynamic nature of your options price. So intrinsic value only applies to in-the-money options. If you have a call option and the stock price is higher than the call option, your call option will have some kind of intrinsic value that can be calculated by the distance between where your long call is and where the current stock price is. Intrinsic value is static, meaning if the stock price is exactly where it's at and you're 10 points in the money, it doesn't matter if you're looking at a 30-day, 60-day, 90-day option, all those options will have the same amount of intrinsic value. However, they will have differing extrinsic values. And I've said this before, but if you can understand how extrinsic value might be priced or how extrinsic value will change given time passing or implied volatility going up or down, if you get a good idea of how you can estimate extrinsic value or how you can manipulate extrinsic value, like we talked about in the previous put option segment, where, just buying back an at the money option and moving it 2 months out and moving the strike 10 points lower, if you can match those extrinsic values, you've effectively reduced your potential for intrinsic value risk, and you're doing all of these advanced things just because you understand what extrinsic value is. So extrinsic value is, if I were to rank all the things you can possibly learn about options trading, extrinsic value is in the top 3, I would say. Outside of, strategy management, I would put up there too, but extrinsic value, just having an understanding of what that is, how it changes, how it might be presented to you in higher implied volatility environments versus low implied volatility environments, how you can view extrinsic value to assess skew in certain markets. If you have a $100 stock price and you go 20 points above and 20 points below, and you have more extrinsic value on the call side than the put side, you have call skew, and you're seeing velocity of risk being priced to the upside. So just a few examples of how important extrinsic value analysis can be. But I wanted to talk to you a little bit today about assignment risk, why extrinsic value prevents you from being assigned. Also, with spread trading, whether you're selling put spreads, buying call spreads, buying butterflies, extrinsic value plays a big role in preventing you from realizing max loss for credit spread trades and also preventing you from realizing max profit on debit trades. And we're going to walk through that with a couple of examples in the tastytrade platform right now. So here we are in the platform, and again, extrinsic value is one of the top 3 things I would say to become an expert in, because if you can manipulate extrinsic value and you can estimate how extrinsic value will change given changes in implied volatility, the stock price, et cetera, you're going to be light years ahead of other people around you that don't really have a good grasp on extrinsic value. So certainly putting an emphasis there. But again, I want to talk about assignment risk first. So many beginner and intermediate traders worry about assignment risk a little bit too much, I would say. Really, if you're selling a put option, for example, and we're looking at Intel today, up $9, 10%, strong move today. If you're selling a put option and your strike goes in the money, and again, we're looking at a 93.50 stock price, 93.50 stock price. If I look at the 100 strike short put option, I know for a fact that this put option has $6.50 of intrinsic value because the distance between 100 in the money put here and the 93.50 stock price is $6.50. Any extra value is going to be extrinsic value. And you can see this here. This option is trading for 1060-ish. We know that 650-ish is intrinsic, so the difference is extrinsic value. The nice thing about the tastytrade platform is it shows you extrinsic value right on your screen here, and it also shows you extrinsic value if you were to look and have this on your column on your positions tab. So I like to have this just to see, like, let's say the majority of my trades are short premium trades, and I see an extrinsic value that gets really low here. I know that I probably want to make an adjustment to that position, because having a short option with very little extrinsic value means I'm just trading intrinsic value, or if it's an out of the money option, I'm holding a lot of risk for very little return going forward. Because as you know, short options benefit from high extrinsic value that goes to zero if they stay out of the money, and long options, you're at the mercy of extrinsic value as it decays against you. But that's not necessarily always a bad thing if you have a strategy that benefits from a directional move in the stock price, for example. So a couple of places where you can see this in the tastytrade platform. On the positions tab, you can add this here, and then on the trade ticket, you'll see extrinsic value listed here as well. But going back to assignment risk, when you think about assignment, assignment only happens when someone's trying to capture a dividend, for example. If they need to own 100 shares of stock before the X dividend date, they might exercise an option that specifically applies to in-the-money call options, right? Because if you're short a call, the counterparty is long a call, they need to exercise that long call to get 100 shares of stock to get the dividend if that's what they're trying to do. So a little bit of heightened assignment risk with in-the-money short calls that have very little extrinsic value, or specifically less extrinsic value than the dividend amount. But here, looking at assignment risk, like if I had a 100 strike short put 16 days out, yes, this option's in the money, but there's no way this option's getting assigned. And even if it does get assigned, I would be celebrating, because this $4.30 of extrinsic value is immediately in my pocket, because if I'm assigned on this short put, it gets converted to 100 shares of stock. I can sell the 100 shares of stock, resell the 100 strike put, and pick up another $400 and change. This has actually happened to me one time in my 10 plus years of trading. I was assigned on an option that had like $250 of extrinsic value. I celebrated, I closed the shares, I resold the put, and added another $250 of premium. So I'm not too worried about assignment risk. And really, if I have a short put here, my max loss is equivalent to 100 shares at the 100 strike anyways. So even if I have 100 shares assigned to me from a short put, it doesn't change my risk profile. And really, it increases my max profit, because if I take shares and then you have a big reversal to the upside, I now have static delta versus dynamic delta here. So real quick, and I guess not so quick, speaking on the assignment risk here, not something I'm worried about, but if you see extrinsic value get down to a level like 20 cents, 10 cents, 5 cents, then yeah, you're certainly at more of an assignment risk there, because the counterparty is giving up less to exercise that option. Now, let's talk about spreads. So extrinsic value and intrinsic value. Let's say I've got the 100 strike, 95 strike short put spread completely in the money here. You might be wondering, why is this spread not at max loss? It's trading for $3.20, 16 days to go. This will be trading for $500 at expiration, as you can see by the difference between this $3.20 price here and the additional loss we can incur of $1.70. If you're selling spreads in a product that has a ton of implied volatility and a ton of extrinsic value, you're not going to realize max loss if it goes in the money, as long as you have time and or implied volatility associated with that contract still, because this spread it still has extrinsic value, and that extrinsic value prevents you from realizing the full intrinsic value of the spread. So if you have a short put spread that goes in the money and the stock price is near your long option is actually becomes kind of an asset for you, in the sense that it's preventing you from realizing max loss. And you can see this here. There's $170 more to lose on this position, but if you look at the extrinsic value, you've got $400 of extrinsic value in your short option and $1.80 more extrinsic value in your long option. So in this case, where the short put spread goes in the money and it's trading near the stock price, the long option is helping you the most at that point in time, because at the money options have the highest amount of extrinsic value, which translates to this specific scenario of reducing your max loss, if you wanted to close this position and get out for much less than the max loss, maybe an intelligent way to think about this is exiting a strategy when your long option is touched or tested if a spread goes completely in the money. Now, at the same time, a spread can only lose so much. So I'm more in the camp of set your definer spread at a level that you're comfortable losing, because in this case, the more an option goes in the money or the more losses I see on the table with a credit spread, the less I can lose going forward and the more I can make. I can make all this back. So another way to think about it is I've got $1.80 left to lose here, but $3.20 more to make on a small move to the upside. So I don't like closing spreads for losses just because I like sizing them smaller so that I don't have to close them, because we've seen time and time again, these markets can move in aggressive ways, and this option and this spread that's completely in the money now could be completely out of the money tomorrow. So something to be said there. Same thing with debit spreads though, right? Let's say before this move to the upside, I had the 80-85 long call spread on. Well, it's not trading at max profit just yet. It's trading for 367. If I wanted to sell out of it, maybe that's a nice winner for me. But same story. You've got more extrinsic value in your short option to decay than you do in your long option, which means as long as this spread stays in the money, you're going to make another $138 on this spread. Another way to think about it is an in-the-money call spread that you've bought is exactly the same as the out-of-the-money put spread here. You can see if you had sold this put spread right now to open, as long as Intel stays above 85, you have the decaying extrinsic value of the out-of-the-money put spread, exact same situation as the decaying value of extrinsic value in this in-the-money long call spread. So the more extrinsic value you have by way of high implied volatility or by way of time left to expiration, the less profit you should expect from these sort of strategies until, number one, implied volatility gets crushed, reducing all extrinsic value across the board, or you have less time to expiration where all of this extrinsic value goes to zero anyways. And another thing can be said here with like butterflies. So one last thing I want to point out, let's say I've got a call butterfly here. We'll just look at the 83, 93, 103. Glad they have the strikes here so we can make this a little easier on ourselves. Let's look at a straight up butterfly here. 10 points wide. It's currently trading for $2.50. There's another $750 left to make on this position, even though we're at 16 days to go and the stock price is right at 93. So another thing to consider here, if you're buying butterflies on the call side or put side, if you get the perfect move to your short strike where at expiration, that's where you want to be, right? If we look at the analysis mode here, we can see at expiration, my max profit looks like this hockey stick graph here, where I've got $750 max profit relative to my $250 debit here. And as we add or reduce time from this position, you can see it creeps up and creeps up closer to your expectation of max profit. But today, you're well off your expectation of max profit. So if you're not using the analysis mode, I would highly suggest it just to synthesize positions changing and ebbing and flowing. But as a quick way to check too, you could look at this. You could say, okay, 16 days away, what's the 83, 93, 103 butterfly trading for? $2.50. You could clear this trade and then go to the 2-day. What is the 2-day 83, 93, 103 butterfly trading for? And here you go, $4.69. So this might surprise a lot of you. I like to do this all the time because it gives you more context and puts your brain in a situation where you're looking at this intrinsic and extrinsic value. You know that at expiration, this butterfly has a max value of $10 if Intel's right at 93, but we're 2 days away. Implied volatility is still heightened in this product, and it is preventing us from realizing max profit because these short options have $700 of extrinsic value to lose, not including these longs. But just another way to say, like, even if you bought this butterfly for $250, you got it all the way to 2 days to go to expiration with nothing else changing in this market, you're only going to make $200 on this trade. So for me, like, this kind of analysis helps me realize like I'm not going to make max profit on any butterfly that I buy unless I literally hold it to expiration and I pin that stock price, which is a low probability event. So backing into profit calculations or profit targets for something like a butterfly, maybe it's 10% of the debit paid, maybe it's 20%, 30%. It's going to depend on how short term your butterfly is, what the implied volatility environment looks like, and that is a way to analyze this in the tastytrade platform. But again, check out extrinsic value. You can add it to your column here. You can add it to your positions tab. But these are really the quick and easy ways that I'm using intrinsic and extrinsic value these days. But again, focus on extrinsic value if you're a beginner, even an intermediate or advanced trader. If you can really understand extrinsic value and how it might change and how you can manipulate extrinsic value to manipulate your risk, you automatically are backing into a lot of these other Greeks and more advanced strategies and concepts that are, on paper, they mean different things. But at the end of the day, options trading is just intrinsic and extrinsic value and the manipulation of those things to benefit you as the trader. So let me know what you think in the comments below. Hopefully you like this kind of content. We're going to be doing this every single week. We'll release it on the weekends for you for some light weekend content. But thanks for tuning in. Please like this video, subscribe to the tastylive YouTube channel, and we'll see you on the next episode of Options in Action.